Okay, so today we're going to make some bread. I've got some ingredients in here. So I've got 200 grams of strong white flour, 100 grams of strong wholemeal flour, or it could be labelled up as bread flour. So that's 300 grams altogether. So it doesn't matter really whether you've got wholemeal or white or a combination. You can use either. I've also got a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. I've got a sachet of yeast, and I've got a little half a teaspoon of sugar. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just mix those ingredients together with my right hand, and I'm going to make a little well in the centre. So a well in the centre, just like a little hole in the centre. I'm then going to add 200 millilitres of warm water. So if you remember from our yeast experiment last week, we found out that warm water was the best condition for activating the yeast and producing the carbon dioxide. So I'm mixing that together, but you'll notice I didn't add it all at once. What I have done is added a little bit, and then I'm going to just keep adding a little bit more. So what I need to do is get a nice soft dough, and then I'm going to knead it. But again, I'm adding the water little by little because I don't want to get my dough too wet. So it needs to be soft, but it doesn't want to be wet. So I'm pulling it round and I'm starting to squeeze it together. If you can see, I'm squeezing it, pulling it round the bowl, adding a little bit more water. And then once I've got it all together and it's the right consistency, then I will begin to knead it. So I'm just pulling it round the bowl, squeezing it together with my hand. I think I need just the tiniest bit more water, but don't be worried if you haven't added all your water, because you may not need all of it. Like I say, you need a soft dough. And then if you look at my bowl now, I've gone round the bowl and the bowl is pretty clean. Okay, so I'll put the bowl onto one side. I don't need my water anymore. I've got a tiny little bit of water left, but I don't need that water. So I'm going to put that there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start kneading. So I'm going to put it on the table. It is quite sticky, but as I knead it, it will become less sticky. So when you're kneading it, what you do is you're basically using the palm of your hand to push it across the table, gathering it back up, turning it over. And by kneading it, we're stretching the gluten and we are making a nice elastic dough, so that when the carbon dioxide forms, then the bread will rise and we will get a nice texture of bread. So I need to knead it for about 10 minutes. So I'm going to pause the video now and I'm going to carry on with my kneading, and then we'll come back in 10 minutes time and I will show you how to shape the bread. Okay, so I've now been kneading the bread for 10 minutes, and as you can see, it's less sticky, it's all nice and elasticy, and it's nice and stretchy, which is what we want. The gluten is stretching it and making it nice elastic bread. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to shape the bread. So there are different things that I can do. So if I just want to make some bread rolls, I can just take a little bit off. Remember, it's going to rise, so it's going to be much bigger than this when it's finished. And I can just carefully shape it into bread rolls like that. So I'll just do a couple like that. And then I'm going to show you, obviously you can shape it into whatever you want. If you want to be creative with your bread and make something quite fancy, then you can do. You might want to make it in the shape of an animal or something like that if you want. But what I'm going to show you is how to do a plait, because a plait can look quite attractive. So you need to divide your dough up into 3 pieces, okay? And then what I'm starting to do is I'm rolling it out, and as I'm rolling it, I'm pulling it apart like that. So I'm rolling it and pulling it apart. And I'm going to get my second piece, and I'm going to try and roll that and pull that apart the same, okay? And I want them to be about the same length, and then I'm doing the same with the third piece. Okay, then I'm going to put them together so they're sort of vertical away from me. I'll pull them a little bit forward, and then I'm going to join them at the top, just squash that together at the top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the right over to the middle, and then the left to the middle, and then the right to the middle, and the left to the middle, right to the middle, and just squashing it together as I do that. Left to the middle, right to the middle, left to the middle, and then at the bottom I'm just going to squeeze that together. So that's going to go now onto my baking tray, which is here, and I'm going to put that like that, and then we're going to leave this to prove. So when you're proving it, all you need to do is put it in a warm place. So I'm going to cover it with some cling film, and I'm going to oil the cling film so that it's not going to stick to it as it proves. So as it's proving, then with it being in a warm place, it's going to form the carbon dioxide, and the carbon dioxide is going to push the bread, and the bread is going to rise and hopefully get much bigger. So you can see there I've covered it with the oil cling film, and I've got one here that I've done earlier, and this one has proved, so you can see the difference in size from the one that I've just done and the one that has been proved. So there's quite a big difference. It's probably almost doubled in size. This one's been proving now for about 40 minutes. So you need to put it in a warm place. So where I've put mine is I've put the oven on, and then I've just sat it on top of the oven. So the oven is on underneath there, giving the warmth. You could put it near a fire if you have a fire, or you can just put it anywhere that is a warm place in your house. So I would leave it for a minimum of about half an hour up to an hour, and then once it's risen, then you can take the cling film off. Make sure you take the cling film off before it goes into the oven. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up my oven. I'll try and get the camera so you can see. And this is going to bake in a hot oven, so your highest temperature about 200 degrees, 220 degrees, and it should bake for approximately 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to put that into there, and it should bake for 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so that one's going to stay and prove, and then I will show you the finished result when it has baked. Okay, so here's the finished bread. So you can see that it's nice and golden in colour. If I turn it over, you can see it's cooked on the bottom. And the way to tell if it's ready is if you tap on it, then it should sound nice and hollow. So I'm going to leave that there. If you can have a go, if you've got the ingredients, remember it's strong flour or bread flour and yeast are your main ingredients, then have a go, and it'll be lovely to see some of the pictures of the things that you have made.